Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a totally explosive narrative, one that just violently rejects absolutely everything you think you know about standard gaming tropes. I mean, think about the usual progression loop in most lit RPG stories, right? You grind for levels, fetch random items for NPCs, follow the glowing path, and basically just play by the strict rules of the system so you can eventually become the hero. But what happens when the protagonist decides that the game itself is the actual enemy? Instead of playing along, today we're focusing on the literal, physical destruction of the game world itself. We're going to explore the catastrophic collapse of Mule's towers. These are massive, oppressive monoliths that completely dictate reality. So let's see what happens when a system designed to control absolutely everyone is met with someone who just flat out refuses to bow down. Okay, I want you to really picture this scenario for a second. You're suddenly summoned to a massive magical tower. It stretches endlessly up into the sky, and your very existence is now entirely governed by a strict, unyielding RPG video game system. You've got quests you are forced to complete, an inventory you have to micromanage, and these glowing stat windows dictating exactly how strong or weak you are. It's completely oppressive. You're forced to risk your life in these rigid missions just to survive the day. It's a never-ending grind. But what if, instead of just accepting that fate, you looked at the towering walls of this digital prison, clenched your fist, and simply decided to punch its foundation until the whole thing shattered? That is the exact, incredibly cathartic premise setting off the chaotic chain of events we are breaking down today. Section 1. Smashing the system. So to really understand this chaotic world, we have to look at the inciting incident. And it's this incredible ideological clash. This whole story hinges on a massive conflict between raw, true physical strength and manufactured digital system stats. On one side of this, we've got Uda. Uda is a player who relies entirely on maxed out numbers, sterile blue status windows, and calculated game logic. Think of literally the most arrogant player you can imagine, someone who thinks they're a god just because a screen tells them their stats are capped. On the flip side is our protagonist, Azura. He's a martial arts king who trusts absolutely nothing but the blood, sweat, and physical toll of barehanded combat. He doesn't care about experience points or digital armor. His strength was built through decades of agonizing physical discipline. And the contrast between Uda's digital entitlement and Azura's grounded reality? That perfectly sets the stage for everything that follows. Now, when Uda unleashes his ultimate level 99 max stat attack, he fully expects Azura to be obliterated by the game's math. But Azura doesn't just block it, he goes right for the source. In a moment of pure visceral impact, Azura literally punches the blue status window itself. The physical force of a martial arts master collides with digital glass, completely shattering the system's interface. This throws the entire system into a fatal error. A physical blow just caused a core systemic failure. In an instant, Uda's prized level 99 stats are violently stripped away, reducing him to a helpless, terrified level 1. You can almost see the arrogance vanish from his face as he realizes the numbers that protected him are just gone. True strength cannot be measured by numbers. Your entire numbers game ends here. That quote perfectly encapsulates Azura's whole motivation. He looks at a world that measures power and worth through floating blue windows, and he finds it completely disgusting. And honestly, it's a feeling that really resonates, doesn't it? How often do we feel reduced to metrics or followers, trapped in systems we didn't even design? Azura refuses to accept that reality. He decides right then and there that he's not just going to refuse to play along, he is going to fix this corrupted reality from the ground up by systematically tearing it apart with his bare hands. Section 2. The Anatomy of Collapse. So, what actually happens when our rigid video game architecture gets hit with overwhelming, rule-breaking physical force? When Azura applies his brute logic to clearing a tower, he triggers a completely unprecedented and devastating chain reaction. Let's walk through this step by step. Step 1. The tower's foundation is structurally destroyed by pure, unfathomable physical force. Step 2. The game system panics. I mean, there is no code for a player punching a building to death, right? So the system flags an abnormal catastrophe. Step 3. In a desperate bid to protect itself, the system unleashes this terrifying, destructive purple void from the sky to purge the corrupted data entirely. Picture an apocalyptic sky ripping open, trying to frantically format a hard drive with a sledgehammer while chunks of the massive tower rain down. It's absolute chaos. But this violent digital purge, it doesn't exactly go smoothly. Actually, it creates a horrific nightmare known as a trash can overflow. The system tries to aggressively delete the destroyed tower's data, but undeletable data leaks right back out into the world. And this glitch literally regenerates the discarded souls of dead players. The system is so broken and desperate that it's regurgitating dead people, turning them into an army of glitchy, zombified remnants meant to defend the crumbling infrastructure. It's deeply unsettling, and it really highlights just how fragile and unnatural this oppressive game system truly is when it starts to fracture.
Section 3, Mule's Grand Design.
Well, we finally learn who is actually pulling the strings behind this sterile blue system and that terrifying purple void. Enter Mule, an entity also known as Goddess Ashwa. Her towers are absolutely not vehicles for salvation or heroism. Actually, scratch that. They are straight-up digital prisons, and her grand design is entirely parasitic. First off, she cultivates player power, using living, breathing humans as mere battery components to fuel her network. Second, she traps these players in endless, grinding tower climbs to extract that energy. Third, she uses this power to overlay a rigid digital system onto reality itself. And finally, she hides the true original world entirely beneath this manufactured illusion. Mule is literally consuming human lives to overwrite reality with her own controllable simulation. 10,000 souls. Take a moment to really let the sheer scale of that sink in. To cement her absolute control, Mule demands a horrifying sacrifice. The system requires exactly 10,000 souls just to complete the succession ritual, which is the process needed to inherit a single tower's true power. Players are spending years fighting, dying, and betraying each other, genuinely believing they're on these epic quests for glory and rare loot. But in reality, they're completely unaware that they are nothing more than cattle, meticulously processed to feed this dark ritual and build Mule's fabricated world. The cruelty of Ashwa's design goes even deeper when you look at how she distributes the power of a fallen tower. She actually divides the successor's power right down the middle, by splitting it between the human realm, given to a player named Evan, and the demon realm, given to Belzer. She deliberately pits them against each other. It's a brilliant, incredibly insidious manipulation. It forces them into endless proxy wars, making sure the violence and the game itself never actually stop. It's a completely rigged game, perfectly designed to keep the top-tier players entirely distracted so they never look up and challenge the administrator who built the cage in the first place.
Section 4, The Successor's Power.
And this brings us to the terrifying reality of what actually happens to these so-called successors trapped inside Ashwa's endless loops. We see this psychological horror mapped out perfectly with Evan and Belzer. Day 1, Evan fails his quest. Day 2, Belzer deploys anti-hero weapons to wipe him out. Day 3, custom puzzle dungeons are frantically triggered by the system to alter the outcome. And on Day 4, Evan exploits a system reset bug to start the whole loop over again. It's a pointless, repetitive cycle. But the true tragedy here? Evan actually loves this. He actively wants to exploit the bug. He would much rather be an immortal king trapped in a fake, repetitive digital utopia forever than face the unpredictable mortal challenges of a real life. However, Azura and his allies shatter these endless loops completely by deeply defying the fundamental rules of the game. In a normal game, when you beat a boss, you loot their body through a menu interface, right? Well, Azura doesn't do that. Instead of playing the game to win the power, he forcibly extracts the successor's power directly from the player's physical body using raw, devastating martial arts techniques. He literally reaches in and rips the energy out. This completely bypasses the programmed rules, causing a fatal collapse of the quest protocol. The system simply cannot compute this kind of physical theft, leading to massive, widespread breakdowns as the towers lose their foundational logic. A real man must stand in the real world on his own feet. A comfortable illusion can never become real life. There is a profound irony here that the Demon King Belzer, a being theoretically designed as a final boss, is the one who ultimately makes the most grounded human point in the entire story. He realizes the utter emptiness of the system and vehemently rejects the fabricated game world that Evan clings to. Belzer chooses to face the harsh, unpredictable reality outside, rather than stay safe in a gilded digital cage. And it poses such a difficult question to us. If you were given the choice, would you prefer the easy predictability of a comfortable lie or the daunting, dangerous freedom of a harsh truth? Section 5, Targeting the Administrator. With the towers falling one by one and the successors defeated, the ultimate consequence of Azura's violent rebellion finally comes into sharp, undeniable focus. We learn the massive, world-altering truth of the entire narrative. Mule's system is nothing but a temporary digital overlay, completely masking a physical, breathing real world beneath it. Think of it like waking up from the Matrix, but on a planetary scale. The stats, the quests, the towers, it's all a massive, suffocating illusion. Entire ecologies, Civilizations and billions of lives have been completely buried underneath this sterile blue grid. Realizing that the world they've been fighting in is just a holographic sheet pulled over the eyes of reality, that changes the stakes completely.
The party's mission is crystal clear now, and the momentum is really building toward a final confrontation. Step 1, they must claim the remaining regional successor powers scattered across the realms. Step 2, they use that gathered energy to completely unseal Azura's Dantian. Basically, his Dantian is his body's ultimate physical and spiritual energy core, and unlocking it completely overrides any need for digital stats. Step 3, with his true strength restored, they have to locate the Administrator's Tower, the massive server hub at the center of the world. And Step 4, delete Mul's system permanently. This isn't just about beating a game anymore, folks. This is a coordinated mission to execute a digital god and free humanity.
True strength is putting one's whole heart into achieving what one desires. This entire explainer circles back to this powerful, defining ethos from Azura. True progression in life isn't about waiting for a blue window to pop up and tell you that your stats have leveled up. It's the unyielding will, the blood, the sweat, and the sheer determination to shatter the illusions in front of you and carve your own path. And that's absolutely the ultimate takeaway for us here. When you feel trapped by the rigid systems in your own life, whether it's a corporate grind or arbitrary societal expectations, remember Azura's approach. You don't always have to play by the rules of a game you didn't create. Sometimes you just have to strike the foundation with everything you've got.
So as the final remnants of the blue system air out and that destructive purple void slowly clears from the sky, we're left with a massive, haunting question. When the final tower falls, the servers crash, and the system is permanently deleted, what kind of real world will be waiting underneath? Imagine the digital sky shattering like glass, revealing a sun that hasn't been seen in centuries. Once Mul is destroyed and the overlay is wiped away forever, what ancient horrors or breathtaking freedoms lie hidden beneath the illusion? It's a chilling yet deeply inspiring thought about the true cost of freedom. Thank you so much for diving into this breakdown with me today, and until next time, remember to